Today's topics are musical phrases, sentences, and periods. This one's going to be a two-parter. Your most basic phrase is 8 measures long, and it can be divided into 2 sub-phrases that are 4 measures each. In a sentence, this looks like this. We start with the first 4, which are the presentation, and that includes some sub-phrases of its own, which are 2 basic ideas. We label as BI in measures 1 and 2, and BI in measures 3 and 4. So 2 measures long for that basic idea. And 2 basic ideas equal that presentation, the first 4 measures. The presentation does not end with a cadence. It just keeps going on into the second phrase. The last 4 measures are called the continuation. And the continuation is made up of a couple of parts of its own. They're unofficial labels. For instance, we have in measures 5 and 6, fragments. I'm just going to put frag of BI. Fragments of basic idea. So that can be like the first measure, and then the third measure repeated here, or maybe we start with the second and the 4th measure. It just depends on the music itself. And then typical measure 7s gain momentum. Gain momentum to the cadence. That continuation can end in a cadence, either half cadence, IAC, or PAC. The only variations of a sentence happen within the presentation. So the basic idea can be repeated. So measures 3 and 4 can look exactly like measures 1 and 2, or that second basic idea can be varied. So 3 and 4 will look similar melodically and rhythmically to the first basic idea, but it can be transposed up or down a step. So let's look at an example. What I did for this series was take the first 2 measures of Beethoven's Eroica Symphony, and for sentences and for the periods that I'm doing in part 2, I used this 2 measure motive and made it into periods, made it into a sentence. So it's not exactly like Eroica, but it's going to sound like Eroica. And if you don't know what that is, check out Beethoven's Symphony No. 3. It's at the very beginning of movement 1. So the basic idea starts in the first 2 measures. That's what we're starting with. And then we do it again. So here we start with the basic idea, 2 measures, BI, and then we get the same thing, an exact copy again, BI. And that all makes up the whole presentation, PRES. We just simplify it. Notice all of this is under that tonic. Because it's exactly the same, we're still in that one harmony. If we continue in measure 5, it's a little bit different, but it still has a callback to the basic idea. So this is where we start to get fragments of basic idea. So you might be able to see, at least right here, we have that same, and then we just kind of, we change it up a little bit. We still have a B flat in there, but it's not half note, quarter note like it was in the basic idea. So it's little fragments of it. And continued on from the fragments, measure 7. So we gain some momentum here with that rhythmic shift. Because so far we just had half notes, whole notes, so this helps adding a little extra rhythm drive us to that cadence. So all of this from measures 5 through 8 is part of the continuation. All of this description under the continuation is totally just extra notes for you. It's not anything that you have to actually label. When it comes to the cadences, if I was to listen to the whole phrase together, really have any kind of stopping point here because it's exactly like this. We're not stopping, we're continuing on with that theme. So we don't get a cadence until the very end here, which is a PAC. Again, it could be a half cadence, it could be an IAC, but here it's a PAC because we're ending on scale degree 1 in that upper voice. Because this is the melody, it's typically going to be, because it's in the melody, it's typically in the upper voice. To compare, we have this basic idea again that comes back, basic idea. And then we get the same half note, quarter note situation, but it's transposed. So this is your basic idea, and in parentheses, you'd put varied. So let's listen to how that sounds. We've changed it from to. I can still end on this note because I'm harmonizing it with a 5/7. So B flat, D, F, A flat, those are all part of this basic idea. So I can still end on that note, but the point is we're varying it because we're starting on E flat to start, and then we're going up a whole step to get to F. All of that part of the presentation. And if we continue on, measure 5. I just changed up the ending compared to what we had before, but we still have those fragments in this continuation. We still have those fragments. So what we started out with here, we get again right here, and then we get the F A flat version right here. So we're getting those fragments of basic idea. We can still call it basic idea here, it's just varied, but in general we'll just refer to it as basic idea. And then we also gain that momentum with a little octave leap down ish. It's less than an octave, it's a 7th, but we have a leap down, and then we have rhythmic change, and so that helps us drive to the cadence. Again, that cadence is going to be a PAC, and we still didn't have anything there at the end of measure 4. To compare, here with this, we have a 5/7. It is harmonized differently. We also have something called faster harmonic rhythm. So faster harmonic rhythm means that we're going from 1 to 5 quicker. So before we went 1 for 2 measures, 5, 7 for 2 measures, then we did 1 for 1, 5 for 1 technically before we went into the rest of that. So the fragments made it shorter, and therefore we had a faster harmonic rhythm. Let's listen to both of those. Here's the first one. And the second one with the basic idea of varied. Come back for part 2 where we'll talk about periods and use the same 2-bar phrase.